Let me explain this next section. This is when you have to really understand the properties and the relationships, these special types of angle pairs that come with the parallel line and the transversal. So the key thing here is parallel line. And a way to help you see that relationship that we did in class was we did a color code. Remember, we took our highlighter, we highlighted the acute angle, did the vertical angles were congruent, and that pattern repeated on the other part of the line in the transversal. And got a different color, the obtuse. And in this pattern, remember and I have it right here. If it's the same color, it's congruent. If it's different colors, it is supplementary, which means it equals to 180. So I'm just going to kind of go over a couple here. So each one of these is a different question. So it's saying here, if the measure of angle 7 is 125. So if I put 125 here, they want us to find the measure of angle 4. Well, if I look, 7 and 4 here are different colors. That means they're supplementary. So I'm going to have to do 180 minus the 125, and we get 55. Hold on. All right, so the other ones here is one, understanding this upside down T, what that means. That's perpendicular. So I know it's not showing here, but if there was a box there, that means 90. So if the lines are perpendicular, they would form a box. So that should hopefully tell you the angle measure. All right. And then here we're talking about if 1 and 3 were 230. So if I look, here is my measure of angle 1. And then if I come back here, get rid of this box that I had, and I now see that there's my angle 3. Together, they're congruent. They're the same measure. Well, if their sum is 230, to find the measure of angle 6, I need to know the measure of one of the angles. So I would take the 230 first divided by 2, and I would get 115. So if this angle is 115, to get angle 6, this is a different color, I'm just subtracting that from 180, and I would get 65. Okay. So this is just an example of one transversal. On your test, you will see lines with multiple transversals. So for example here, because the arrows are on this Y and Z, Y is parallel to Z. Okay. So if these two lines are the parallel, then we have one transversal, S transversal W, and a different transversal K. So I would just kind of start off with the given information. They're telling us here the measure of 10 is 130. So if I had 130 here, that would be with this purple transversal. So I can see hopefully the pattern with just this transversal. I can see 10 is the obtuse angle. So these two, obtuse and obtuse, will be together. The pattern is going to copy. And then the acutes are going to be congruent. So I'm going to do a double arc. So using angle 10 is 130, what would angle 12 be? Well, if you look, they're in the same position. They're corresponding. So angle 12 would also be 130. Now, for angle 1, that's on a different transversal. Now I'm going to use the measure of angle 3. It tells us that this is 68. So angle 1 and angle 3 are on the same side of the transversal in the same position. So this also, angle 1 would be 68. So try to use your problem solving, your understanding of angle measures, types of angles, form with that transversal. So basically, you might want to refer to your purple foldable to help you finish this section. We have multiple transversal on 19 through 20 as well. The parallel lines, they tell us here is S is parallel to T, and they also showed it with the arrows. So that means we have two transversals. We have this transversal on this side of the triangle, and then we also have another transversal with this side of the triangle. and they have a couple angles measured. So to get to angle 1, I'm hoping you recognize using this yellow transversal that 115 and 1, those are alternate interior angles. And alternate interior angles are congruent. So if I know 115, then angle 1 is also 115. Now, to get to my angle 3 here, that's a different transversal. Here, I have 32 and angle 3. I can see it's obtuse, but those are in between S and T, the parallel line, and these are same side interior. The same side interior are supplementary. They equal 180. So I would have to do 180 minus the 32. I would get 148, and that was our measure for angle 3. So try to use, like I said, your understanding of angles and the special types that are formed with the transversal and their relationship. Sorry, I meant to not put that there. To find the missing angle. We had, I think, some extra examples in our foldable, in our spiral next to our foldable to help you with that. Now, this one, for something like this with a bunch of angles, we got what, 18 here? I would just focus on filling in the diagram. Now, they tell us the lines are parallel right here, so that's important. And what we're going to do is start off with the given information. I'm saying if the measure of angle 2 is 125. So angle 2 is right here, which is 125. It is formed using line C as a transversal. Okay. So what I would do, just focusing on that transversal, is fill in all the angles I could fill in using all the angle relationships. So like start off, there's my vertical. So angle 5 here is also 125. A and B is the parallel lines. So I can do alternate interior, but angle 11 here is not made with that transversal. It's made with a transversal on a different line. It's not made with B. But what I could do is do maybe a linear pair here. So adjacent angles side by side on the line A are supplementary. So this is 125, this acute angle, one obtuse, one, then the acute next to it would be 55. And one is vertical to that, so that is 55. Now I can move to angle 10 because 6 and 10 are alternate interior. They're in between A and B and they're opposite sides of the transversal. So angle 10 is also going to be 55. And that is vertical to 16, so that's 55. And then I could have saw it with corresponding or a linear pair, but 15 is also going to be 125. So back to what I was saying, I can't get to angle 11 because it's made with a different line. It's the yellow line, but then it's made with this line over here. Excuse me. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go to where the given information about angle 12. Angle 12 inside of here, it's telling us it's 37. Okay, angle 12 is made, I'm just going to get a different line here, with this side and line B. And B and A are the parallel. So hopefully if I'm using my blue line here as a transverse, I'm hoping you can see there is another congruent angle with that transversal. There's an alternate interior angle. Right here, 12 and 7 are alternate interior with the transversal in A and B. So 7 also would be 37. All right, and then I have to move into the triangle and I have to get to this transversal D to get to our other angles. Now, I could get to angle 11. I don't know if you see this. Let me get a different color here. But angle 6, angle 7, and angle 11, I probably should have did maybe purple. Here we have this triangle that's formed. And the 3 angles in the triangle make up 180. So I could find angle 11 by basically adding our two angles here. I'm actually I'm trying to think where I can put it though to make it make sense. I'm adding the 55 and the 37. Okay, that gives me 92. And then I'm subtracting that from 180. So this would give me 88. Okay, now I'm moving on to, I'm going to move on to measure of angle 18. Over here, we have 102, and that is with another different transversal. I'm going to go, I guess I should go green. So this line here, line D is a transversal for A and B, and I'm now going to use that transversal to find all the angles that are also formed with that transversal. That's 14, 17. So right off the bat, I see my vertical. Okay, hopefully we can see that. I also have corresponding. 18 corresponds with 9, so it is also 102. And 9 is vertical to 3, so it is also 102. So I would fill in everything on here and then fill in on into the table. Because at this point now I can do angle 4, because angle 4 is basically a linear pair. 3 and 4 together are a linear pair. So I'm just doing 180 minus that, and I'm getting 78. Okay. And then same thing here. 4 and 17 are alternate x here. They're congruent, 78. And so to get to my angle 8, I am using the triangle and the sum of the triangle. Oops, there it is. Those three angles, 8, 12, and 13, will give you a sum of 180. So try that to find your missing angles, and then just fill it in. So if you get multiple lines, I would always mark it on the diagram first, and then move on. All right, so that takes care of that section. We're going to now get into the algebra, which is what kind of we just ended with. Sorry about that.